Recently I made a reaction to a video called the Top 100 Canadian Rock Bands Ever. It's a very interesting list. I think the list itself is actually based on Spotify streams, so in the comments a lot of people told me there was a lot of great Canadian rock bands and acts that were missing from the list. So I actually found another list. This is called the Top Canadian Bands and Singers. In the description it actually says the top 150 Canadian bands and singers, and this is across every genre of music, so this should be quite a complete list of all the great Canadian musical artists that have ever been. So I just want to watch this just to try and learn about as much Canadian artists as I can. You can tell me what you think about this list. Tell me who your favourite Canadian act is or artist from any genre. And yeah, let's watch. And yeah, from the last video, Canada's produced so much good rock music. Okay, Carly Rae Jepsen, I never knew was from Canada, and she's such a well-respected songwriter, performer. Tell me what you think about her. Obviously, The Weeknd is a huge act, so for them to be 147 and 146, and they're huge, very popular acts worldwide, that must mean there's some great talent still to come on this list. Can't wait to see. Tell me what you think about those two so far. And I don't recognise any of the ones before that, but sounded pretty good rock music before that. Tell me what you think the best decade for Canadian music was so far. I seen that in the 80s, Canada seemed to have just some amazing rock music. Tell me what your favourite decade for Canadian music was.
Just in case you're wondering what I'm gonna do, you don't have to wonder.
That sounds good.
She wants the world to me. She's gone tonight. Turn the world around and we'll have it. I'm talking about, so you know who's there. Fly, fly, baby, fly away from here.
Well,
Here comes the stumbling fool.
I talked about the 80s there, but the 70s, Canadian music went hard with the rock music as well, man. Was that really like I mean, really, if you think about more sort of recent rock bands as well, like Nickelback and Arcade Fire and things, Canada's got a really rich history in rock music. Some really brilliant music, some great acts. I never knew that before, honestly. It's funny that one as well. I'm enjoying now hearing some other genres of music and hearing that synth pop and pop music. Len Steal My Sunshine, that came on a YouTube playlist I was listening to a couple of days ago with my son. He's 3 years old. He loves that song now. He's asking for that song when we see it on the recommended page on YouTube. I didn't know they were from Canada also, honestly. Punk as well.
you wanted me to be, always love me strapped to you like it's out. I wonder where you are, curious. On Mercury, they're crazy about my stellar rock and roll, like starting over.
Yeah, tell me more about the acts that you've seen so far and the acts that are coming up on the list, because a lot of these ones I've not actually heard of before were these bands that were big in Canada but never really exported their music outside of Canada. similar to what people told me about the Tragically Hip. And tell me if there's any more bands like the Tragically Hip who were huge in Canada but just kept the music really within Canada. Grimes from Canada. Okay. Yeah, tell me if you're from Canada as well. Is there any acts on here that you've never heard about that you would actually feel like learning about and listening to more of their music? So much good music here that is right up my street, especially the rock music. The thing I like about the rock music from Canada is it's every sort of subgenre of rock is covered here to a very high level as well. Now we got some metal as well. Yeah, I think I might have seen that on one of the previous videos, but that's someone I definitely never knew was from Canada, Nelly Furtado, and obviously at that time she was huge. What I like about this, I think it's kind of like breaking it down into different genres, like grouping them together, so it's quite interesting to see that. But what I was thinking would be an interesting concept for a video is just to see like taking rock music from Canada, for example, and doing it like year by year, seeing the progress, because you see little bits here, you see that like early 2000s pop punk movement, see those like big anthemic rock ballads from the late 80s and things like that. I want to see like from the 60s and 70s right up until now the progress of this like rock music or every genre. I think it'd be interesting to see that change over time.
Joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but
I'm guided by this birthmark on my skin.
Yeah, tell me what do people in Canada think about Celine Dion? Like, I think clearly she's one of the biggest acts ever in the world, one of the most well known. Tell me how she's thought of in Canada. And when I'm watching this list, I'm just thinking, this is it when you actually think about it, 150 different acts who all produce excellent music. There can't be many countries that actually have this sort of array of talent. It's quite crazy actually. I remember that, or remember hearing that song. Since we're getting to the top 40, tell me who you think is going to be the number one artist. If this is in any sort of order, I'm not sure if it is, but tell me who you think would be the number one artist from Canada. Okay, man. Nice.
someday you'll be shedding your tears. Beach, far away in time, Echo Beach, far away in time.
this is like an incredible list, an incredible variety, as I mentioned before, but this is definitely giving me a lot of impetus to go and find out more about a lot of these artists. Now we're going to get to the top 10. Tell me if there's any bands that have not been on here yet that you think are going to be in this top 10. Tell me if there's any acts that are not on this list. I can't believe there would be, because this is such a comprehensive list and amount of groups. But tell me if there's anybody that's missing. Okay, so Rush, number 1. I think that's actually like a good list, a good way to end it with Rush. I think a lot of Canadians would agree with them being number 1. I'm not sure like if the rest of the list is in any sort of order. I think it could be like there is a lot of the great acts were right at the end of that last top 10, man. Some huge acts: Neil Young, Bryan Adams. Yeah, tell me what you think about the list. Tell me if there's any acts on this list that you've not heard about for a long time or that you've forgotten about or anything like that. Tell me anybody on that list, who you're the biggest fan of and why as well. Thanks.